Joining us on a Monday afternoon. We have a busy schedule or slate of news today on the I Love CVille Show. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines, and I have a programming note for you guys. We're very excited about this. Ralph Sampson, I'd say the greatest Virginia basketball player in Wahoo history, will join us in studio tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. on the Jerry and Jerry Show. Ralph Sampson in the house, 10:15 a.m. on the Jerry and Jerry Show. 7'6" Ralph Sampson next to 5'8" yours truly. And Judah, your height roughly?
Probably 5'5", 5'6".
5'6", Judah Wickhauer. So he's got 2 feet on the director and producer of the program, almost 2 feet on me. I'd say Hootie Ratcliffe is what? 6 foot? 6 foot and change?
Maybe. Yeah, he's
We'll talk a lot.
tall, but not freakishly tall.
Ralph Sampson's got, obviously, the Ralph Sampson Tap House. He's got an ownership stake in the White Spot on the UVA corner. He is launching a number of businesses, Mr. Ralph Sampson is, and will spotlight the basketball player turned entrepreneur on the Jerry and Jerry Show tomorrow. He'll spend a good portion, if not the entire show, with us tomorrow. Be sure to get some photos and maybe a signed basketball. One other item out of the notebook on the UVA sports front. The football team has lost linebackers coach Clint Sintum. Clint Sintum is going to Illinois. This should concern a lot of us. He's 38 years old. He spent the last 4 seasons at UVA, which is his alma mater. He was a fantastic linebacker for Virginia football. Had a cup of coffee in the National Football League, Clint Sintum did. And why this should concern us is Mr. Sintum is going to a program in Illinois that isn't even a major player or major contender. He's leaving a Virginia job for a lateral move at Illinois, where he's basically doing the same thing. He's leaving his alma mater. He's leaving the place he's called home for the last 4 years as an assistant coach. He's leaving a town in Charlottesville where he walks on water, and he's heading to Illinois to coach a football team with the Fighting Illini that, frankly speaking, are an afterthought. This is something that is directly correlated to the coaching pay scales at the bigger conferences like the SEC, the Big 10, Big 12, when compared to the University of Virginia. The TV revenue is giving these schools in conferences outside or competing with the ACC more opportunity to pay head coaches and assistant coaches more money. And Virginia just lost a valuable member of its coaching staff. Of course, this show is live from our studio on Market Street in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, less than 2 miles from the Rotunda, John Paul Jones Arena and Scott Stadium, a hop, skip, and a jump from the Charlottesville Police Department, and a block off the downtown mall, the Albemarle County Courthouse and the Charlottesville courthouses. We're smack dab in the middle of everything. I want to take a look at the budget for Charlottesville City that's percolating with council and with city staff. We highlighted the tax increases that are on the near horizon: meals tax, lodging tax, and real estate taxes. It's going to be more expensive to live in the city, no question about it, for fiscal year 2025. But Sean Tubbs of the Community Engagement Substack, Sean Tubbs, his content's fantastic, and we encourage you to support Sean Tubbs. He takes a look at the fiscal year 2025 budget and the recommendations that City Manager Sam Sanders is making for nonprofit fundraising or nonprofit funding increases. A couple jumped immediately out to me. For example, the Buck Squad in the fiscal year 2025 budget is going to jump from $161,000 in city funding to $456,000 in city funding. That's an increase of 183.22%, Sean Tubbs reports. New Hill Development has an increase of 185.71% year over year. I mean, this is just astronomical increases for funding of nonprofits. And we'll take a look at what Sean Tubbs is reporting on his community Substack. I encourage you to support him. Part of Lloyd Snook has made the comment before on this network that nonprofits in this community find other ways to potentially fund your endeavors. There are so many nonprofits in the city with their hand out asking for taxpayer money. We'll take a deep dive on that on today's program. Also on the show, we'll talk Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia is the number 5 city in America for fastest selling homes. Credit News Research, an independent research house, released its new ranking of the fastest selling housing markets in the U.S. And the capital of the Commonwealth, Richmond, number 5 on that list. I want to unpack that with Judah Wickhauer in a matter of moments and with you, the viewer and listener. Glenn Youngkin has banned legacy admissions at the University of Virginia and at public universities across the Commonwealth. We'll unpack that. We have some positive news on the downtown mall. What was the race, Judah? The Run for the Haven?
Yeah.
A fundraiser to fight homelessness and to support the Haven right off the downtown mall. That took place Saturday around downtown Charlottesville. It's an 8K race. That happened in rain. It was hundreds of people ran in this race. So I want to highlight some positivity for downtown Charlottesville. Albemarle County, Charlottesville City Schools banning cell phones. I want to take it a step further. Should it not just be cell phones that are banned? Should it be screens across the board that are banned? Is teaching kids on iPads in classrooms a good thing? We'll talk about that today. Judah's got a look at 11 spots for steak frites around the Charlottesville area. I have a clear-cut number 1. Judah's compiled 11 options for steak frites in the Charlottesville area. And again, that programming note with Ralph Sampson on the Jerry and Jerry Show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Judah, we'll weave you in the mix here. The nonprofit fiscal year 2025 funding just absolutely boggled my mind. And it wasn't just the Buck Squad that jumped out to me. And if you want to put lower thirds on screen, it was New Hill Development that jumped out to me. It was the City of Promise, which would increase year over year by 117.39%. It was a group called Wartime Fitness Warriors that would increase 118.18%. I mean, some of these nonprofits are seeing their funding jump over 100% year over year. Sean Tubbs, Community Substack, doing this reporting. We're highlighting his hard work on today's talk show. You know, I'm all for community infrastructure that supports a better Charlottesville. And I'm all for doing this in a way where it's equitable and it's inclusive and it makes the community's quality of life improved. But eventually we have to ask ourselves if we're dying the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
You got the meals tax, the real estate tax, the lodging tax, the sales tax, all upticking while assessments are going up, while incomes are not increasing at the level of inflation, at the level of tax overhead. And as we unpack this budget, we see nonprofits like the Emergency Communications Center jumping 22% year over year. We see the Charlottesville Free Clinic jumping 36% year over year. We see Birth Sisters jumping 30% year over year. We see the Reclaim Hope Initiative jumping 67% year over year. We see, Shelter for Help in Emergency, 67% year over year. Boys and Girls Club, 87% year over year. It's massive increases. And it should be highlighted on the talk show. And it should be highlighted elsewhere like Sean Tubbs is doing. Your thoughts on some of this?
Yeah, I think we need to, obviously, we need to taper. We can't just give everybody as much money as they want. I mean, that should be obvious. But I think we need to. I mean, I don't know. We've got a city council and a city manager that one would think would have some degree of what empathy for the city.
Is supporting nonprofits empathy, or is keeping the city affordable for its citizens empathy?
I mean, I think supporting nonprofits is a great goal, but when it makes life harder for the there are a lot of people in Charlottesville under the area median income, and those, I mean, it doesn't even matter if they own houses or not. If you own a house, your taxes are going up. If you're renting, then your landlord's taxes are going up, and likely you're going to see that covered in your next rent increase. On top of that, we're going to be raising taxes on food, and I just don't see this not having a deleterious effect on a large portion of our population.
I mean, I'm going to ask this question again for the viewers and listeners. Is nonprofit support to the tune of many seeing their funding jumping 100% or more year over year, is that a better Charlottesville, or is a better Charlottesville keeping the ecosystem affordable for its residents?
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like a lot of these people are just asking for a lot of money and getting it. Why not temper that? Why not, if we're looking for, $2 million more for this and $2 million more for that, why not just say, look, we can't give you the $400,000 that you're asking for, just as a for instance, but we can give you $200,000. The rest you can find somewhere else. There's got to be a lot of cuts you can make in, I mean, just the few nonprofits you mentioned earlier.
Take a look at what Sean Tubbs is reporting, guys, on his community Substack. It's very much something that I think is flying under the radar, and that's why I think Mr. Tubbs is reporting this with his platform. It is worth digesting and understanding and reading. And it's worth asking questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is necessarily a right answer. There might be an answer that's a little better than others, but I'm going to, as I change gears to a different topic, I'm going to ask you this question. What is best for Charlottesville? A extremely well-funded nonprofit ecosystem, or offering affordability for taxpayers and residents and citizens and owners and renters in Charlottesville? Because what's the saying? You can't have your cake and eat it too?
Yeah. This
is a perfect example of it today. Richmond, Virginia, as you're changing lower thirds, Judah, and I really want you to, be focused on those lower thirds. I've gotten that from a lot of viewers and listeners. They like seeing those on screen. Number 5 right now, according to the Credit News Research, an independent research housing data firm, It released its new ranking of the fastest selling housing markets in the United States. Here's the top 10. Hartford, Connecticut, number 1. Rochester, number 2. Syracuse, number 3. Harrisonburg, Pennsylvania, 4. Richmond, 5. Grand Rapids, Michigan, 6. New Haven, Connecticut, 7. Boston, Massachusetts, 8. Wow. Columbus, 9. Columbus, Ohio, and Worcester, Massachusetts, 10. So a lot in the Northeast. Hartford, Connecticut, number 1, Northeast. Rochester, New York, number 2, Northeast. Syracuse, New York, 3, Northeast. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Northeast. The first 4 are Northeast. Then you add New Haven, Boston, and Worcester, Massachusetts. 6 of the top 10 fastest selling housing markets right now in the United States are all in the Northeast. Interestingly, Richmond, Virginia is in the 5 slot. Why do you think Richmond, Virginia is in the 5 slot, Judah? I have some ideas. I'm curious of your perspective here.
I mean, could it be the job market there? I honestly don't know.
I think it's job market. I think it's the affordability. I think it's the proximity to other markets. I think it's the big city, small town flavor of Richmond. I think it's a number of reasons. If you had any opportunity, my wife and I enjoy going to Richmond to spend some time in RVA in Richmond, do it. It's fantastic. Jackson Ward is a fantastic neighborhood. Shockoe Bottom, Shockoe Slip, Carytown, all fantastic neighborhoods that I would recommend going to. We've stayed in the Linden Row Inn and had ample walking around Richmond and the neighborhoods close to it. We've stayed at the Berkeley Hotel and have enjoyed walking up and down Shockoe Bottom and Shockoe Slip. It's a great little getaway if you want some time away from Charlottesville for a period of time. But Richmond right now, the housing market is on fire. Housing market here in Charlottesville, I don't want to say it's quieter, but the inventory is not moving at the speed of Richmond. And some of the higher price points are not moving at the speed of some of the other markets. Vanessa Parkhill, I'll get to your comments here. Derek Bond, I'll get to your comments. I got your text. Derek Bond, I will follow up with you following the show. I found it interesting that it was the 5th fastest selling housing market in all of the US of A, Richmond, Virginia. You would, I think, very much enjoy Richmond. Hipster feel, big city, small town, incredible walkability, fantastic restaurants, excellent nightlife, bars galore, music scene, fantastic. We really like the walkability, shopping, distinct neighborhoods, very close or adjacent to each other, neighborhoods that you can walk from to the other easily. Bright future for Richmond. Anything you want to add on that one?
I'm not really all that surprised when you put a lot of the things together that have been happening around the United States, from from people leaving the West Coast in droves, and then when you think, where are they going to move? The East Coast makes sense, and Virginia's a great state, and I think it has not had some of the issues that some other states have had, like New York and New Jersey, and I think the affordability is still somewhat decent here, and so I'm not really surprised.
This comes in from right down the street here. Thomas is watching the program. Jerry and Judah, I love the show. I watch as much as possible, which generally means 2 to 3 days a week. One thing that you should highlight with Richmond is the amount of housing inventory or housing stock that's for sale when compared to Charlottesville. That's certainly driving its popularity. That's a great comment that was put in the feed here. When you have housing options to purchase and to rent, you're going to have a level of affordability that, say, Charlottesville, which has limited stock, does not have.
Definitely.
And that's going to get folks moving there. In fact, the Weldon Cooper Center highlighted how the population of Richmond is upticking extremely quickly. We highlighted that on previous shows. You could find that on the Weldon Cooper website. They did a good job characterizing the population increases for Richmond. I have said this many times. If there was, I don't foresee us ever moving from Charlottesville, but if there was a place that we would move to, it would be two that immediately jump out. Richmond and Asheville. Now, Asheville's gotten extremely expensive. Have you been to Asheville?
No.
You would enjoy it.
Yeah. My parents have been there.
It's fantastic for many of the same reasons that I highlighted with Richmond, except Richmond's way more affordable. It would be one of those two markets we would move to. We love San Diego.
San Diego?
San Diego's fantastic, but cost of living in San Diego's through the roof. We love long weekends in Manhattan and the Big Apple. Cost of living, obviously.
Yeah.
We love going to the beach on Long Island. Year-round, though, is not something potentially I think neither she nor I would want to do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a long weekend in Charleston this weekend. Programming note, the I Love CVille Show is off the air on Friday, unless you want to host it by yourself. You can certainly do that if you'd like. Yours truly will be in Charleston for a long weekend, for a little R&R. Props and kudos to Richmond. I think its future is bright. And in fact, I think in some ways, Richmond and Charlottesville are doing almost opposite runs. Charlottesville is very much tied to one major employer. Charlottesville has limited housing stock. Charlottesville has become extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Richmond, more than many, many employers. Not one dominant one.
Right.
Richmond, considerable housing stock. Richmond, considerable affordability. Job opportunities galore in Richmond. If you have a chance to work hybrid or remotely, you're going to check some of these boxes and target an area like this to move to.
Yeah, definitely.
Follow it closely. You highlighted Youngkin banning legacy admissions, if you want to put that lower third on screen. You were in favor of this. Vanessa Parkhill says this, and we can get Vanessa's photo on screen in a matter of moments if you want. Vanessa Parkhill, one of the key members of our family. She says, I'm not sure if I have an issue with the legacy concept. My dad went to a smaller teacher college, but I wanted the big life at Penn State. Mom and grandparents did not go to college. My kids would have loved Penn State, but we couldn't justify the out-of-state tuition. Also, lots of kids want to choose their own path, so it may not impact admissions as much as some people think. Now, if Legacy was giving my kids admission that gave me a big tuition discount, that would have been a different thing. Here's the thing, Vanessa, we appreciate your comments. I'm torn on this. My dad went to UVA, I went to UVA, my brother went to UVA. Would love if our boys went to the University of Virginia as well. Certainly to keep them close to us because we love seeing and spending time with them. I'm also a merit-based guy. I'm a guy that's based on proof of performance. And if two people are even, or if one person is slightly ahead of the other, and the person gets in because of legacy over one that has more merit or a stronger resume, that would irritate the hell out of me, even if it was one of our boys.
Yeah.
I say it all the time to our oldest son. You know, in fact, we have a little sign in his room that says this. What does that sign say in his room? It's like, work harder. It's like, stop whining, work harder, or something like that. I'm sure my wife will correct me with what the sign says. Basically, we say, be the best version of yourself every day. And the best version of yourself every day is one that's probably going to be grounded in working as hard as possible. What's your take on the legacy admission?
I agree with being merit-based. I think that for me that's just a no kidding. You know, it doesn't even come across as why wouldn't you have merit-based entry? Additionally, I think that I appreciate I think moving around a lot when I was younger.
Yeah, you've moved quite a bit. Where have you moved to?
Affected the way that I see
Everything.
Things. Yeah, I mean, I went from Santa Barbara to Los Angeles to Portland, Maine to.
Why the cross-country move? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
We followed a bunch of the people in the church that was a part of Santa Barbara life. I was born into a church in Santa Barbara.
They moved from Santa Barbara to Maine?
No, Santa Barbara to Los Angeles.
And then to Maine?
Yeah, the church had kind of broken up in Santa Barbara. People went their separate ways. My parents found out that the leader and a bunch of the friends they'd had in the church in Santa Barbara were reforming in Portland, Maine, and I don't think it was originally intended to be a get the band back together type thing, but the people were very much, I think, enamored of the leader of the church and felt like this would be a 2.0 type thing. And 6 months later, it broke up, didn't work out, and we were stranded in Maine. So when a bunch of those same people ended up moving to Charlottesville, Virginia, my parents and my sisters followed suit. And
that's a lot of trust right there.
Yeah, I don't know about trust, but
that's a lot of.
I mean, imagine
going from Santa Barbara to Los Angeles, completely across the country to Portland, Maine, and then from Portland, Maine to Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
And what time period?
Let's see. I was in Santa Barbara for 6 years. We moved to Los Angeles it would have been like 81-ish. In Los Angeles for another 6 years. We moved to Portland, Maine when I was just about to turn 12. So that would have been like 87. And I think my parents moved here in the end of 95, I believe. And I went to Savannah in 96. Stopped here for a little while before heading down there, and was there for about 6 years before heading back here in 2002. So I think that and just the type of person I am, I'm not really into cults of personality, and I see that a lot with like schools, with sports teams, with TV shows, celebrities. I just don't really go in for a lot of that, and so in terms of legacy admissions, I kind of get it, but I would want my child to go where they felt most comfortable, where they thought they would be best served in their teaching, and
my wife texted me, and that sign says, and my brother in our oldest son's room, it says, "Nobody cares, work harder." Literally, the sign says by his light switch, "Nobody cares, work harder." Carly Wagner says Charlottesville speaks a lot about diversity, but it is one of the most gentrified cities she has ever seen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Richmond has amazing diversity. And Carly Wagner, if you want to get her photo on screen, says, "I'm glad legacy admissions are going away. Everyone needs to earn all things they want in life." I'm of that mindset as well. I really am of that mindset. It's the sign. Nobody cares, work harder. Carly Wagner, number 3 in the family, her photo on screen. Albert Graves, watching on Twitter. Albert Graves says this. He's number 7 in the family if you want to get his photo on screen. How can it be equitable and inclusive with all this money going to nonprofits as the personal property tax continues to rise and most blue-collar workers are being forced to leave their hometown and start all over when most of them should be looking to retire?
I agree.
That's why we brought up this point.
Yeah.
Is it not a catch-22, or is it even in the category of hypocritical?
I get wanting to support nonprofits, but not at the cost of your citizenry.
He follows up with this question: how much of the funding for the nonprofits are nonprofits that are trying to target and address the affordable housing problems that are definitely a major issue within the city? Think about that. Unpack that one.
It's a great question.
Unpack that question, what he's saying right there. It's a great point.
I mean, it's like a circular insanity. You tax the people of your locality, some of them possibly out of their homes, and then you give that money to nonprofits whose stated purpose is to help people who are on the margin and getting priced out of their houses. You're kicking people out so that you can pay people to help those people. I'm sorry you're going to lose your home, but we're sending money to, X, Y, and Z nonprofits to help you because you just lost your house.
Yeah. Yeah, John Blair, I'm going to get to your comment here in a matter of moments. Another thing that I find frustrating on this front is the tax relief offered to keep gentrification from happening is as poorly a marketed and branded and advertised tax relief program as you will find.
I believe it. I could fully understand 100% of people needing those services having no idea they're out there.
Right. No idea they're out there when the window exists.
Yeah. What they have to do
to get the relief.
Like, shouldn't part of the relief be getting it to the people that need it without them having to jump through hoops and figure out where and how to get it?
100%.
Like, there should be, rather than some of these nonprofits, there should be a part of, I don't want to expand the government.
There should be a banner hanging across Market Street.
There should be somebody.
An airplane with the banner running behind it.
If you want to.
A social media campaign, a boosted post social media campaign.
If you want to spend money on something, why not spend money on a position that will connect those people to the resources?
Or if you want to spend money on something, why not expand the window of the relief?
That too.
Why not make the relief more available to others?
Why is there even a window in the first place?
Why is it?
Is that some kind of? Is it a test?
Why is it so narrow, the criteria for the relief? It gets back to what we talked about last week. UVA spending $20 million a year for 200 and some staff members. 253, I think, was the exact number. UVA is spending $20 million a year for roughly 253 staff members, including one that's making well over $500,000 a year for diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And we said on the talk show, why not fund $450,000 a year scholarships and offer them to students of color, as opposed to employing people to lead a charge for diversity, equity, and inclusion? The same thing for the City Hall, that mindset. Why not, instead of funding nonprofits that are trying to move mountains to create affordability, why not take that money and actually expand the tax relief program that directly will cause affordability?
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like such common sense, but common sense does not seem to.
Oftentimes, the government, and I'm not just picking on Charlottesville here, but lots of times the government response or the government idea of how to get something done is to first spend outrageous amounts of money hiring outside help to do some type of study, and by the time like an affordability study, and by the time you're done paying this outside interest group to
The
come
problem has worsened, or the problem has completely changed.
and you could have just tossed that money in the general direction of the problem and at least done some good, rather than spending it on years of random studies.
A perfect example of that is Albemarle County Public Schools hiring outside third-party consultants to figure out why many of their minority children, third graders, are struggling at reading. Why that's done is to create or insulate superintendent's office and administrators from being the source of the problem. Oh, this is what the third party told us to do, the consultants.
Yeah.
So this is the path we followed because this is what they told us to do, as opposed to creating the path themselves.
If it doesn't work.
Let's get to John Blair, number 2 in the family, his photo on screen. He highlights a good point. In terms of banning legacy admissions, did UVA actually have legacy admissions? I have been told that for over a decade, they've told prospective students that the school does not give any plus factor if your parents went to UVA. I don't know about if multiple generations went to UVA, but the statement about parents attending UVA has been stated at the tours for a very long time. That is correct. Youngkin is making it official by signing this bill banning legacy admissions at public universities. It was unanimously endorsed by both chambers in the General Assembly. Now it's in writing. Mm-hmm. To say that it did not exist, I don't know.
I mean,
if someone's a big donor and is willing to donate significant money with the condition that children are allowed in the university, I would bet that's happening. It's hard not to bet that's not happening. Your finished thought there. And John, I will say this. I loved the secret potion you drank at a recent Cub Scout get-together that was filmed on social media on your wonderful wife's Facebook page. John, as a fundraising effort, if the Scout group reached its fundraising goal, agreed to drink a secret potion as a motivator for the Scouts to reach the fundraising goal. And he did it with courage and with gumption and with chutzpah. So John Blair, very much enjoyed seeing that video on your wife's social media page. Bill McChesney giving you some props. If we get Bill McChesney's photo on screen, Mr. McChesney's 15 in the family. He gives Judah props, and he says this: Charlottesville is becoming Vail, Colorado. I've said Charlottesville's a menage a trois between Greenwich, Connecticut, Vail, and Austin, Texas. If Austin, Texas, Greenwich, and Vail had a baby, you would get Charlottesville.
Interesting.
That's what I think you would get. Philip Dow of Scottsville watching the program. My parents are not going to be able to keep their home because of the taxes. Looked into the tax relief, and based on their investment, they will not be eligible for the relief. I'm sorry to hear that, Philip Dow. I'm sorry to hear that. Randy O'Neill watching the program. Is Randy O'Neill ranked in the family?
Let me see.
Not Rob Neal, Randy O'Neill.
We do not have...
Randy O'Neill, you're going to come in the poll at 46 in the family. Let's get Randy in at 46. Derek Bond, amen, brother. I'll get to your comments in a matter of moments. Randy O'Neill says this: you are now on the I Love CVille viewer listener power rankings, Randy O'Neill. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Mr. O'Neill says the original developer of RVA, Tom Farrell, led search for school superintendent. They started Foundation Next Up, received $450,000 a month for 5 years. It's nuts, $250 per hour per student for after-school programming like a cooking class or ballroom dancing. Enrollment low, consistently no measurable academic, health, or safety outcomes. The lab schools are the next fraud. He says U-Crops owns Fitness Warriors. Randy, if you offer more perspective, I'm happy to relay it on air. I see you often comment on the show, and now you're on the I Love CVille viewer and listener power ranking. Derek Bond says government is not the solution to these problems. Mr. Bond, the restaurateur, is 30 in the power poll if you want to get his photo on screen. Vanessa Parkhill says this on LinkedIn. She says, which university is telling a first-generation minority student nobody cares, work harder? It's a good question. That's a sign our oldest son sees every day as he's leaving his room. Nobody cares, works harder. And you know what? I want to take a proud dad moment here. Recently went to a parent-teacher conference, and he got glowing reviews for the hard work he's been putting in since the last parent-teacher conference. The effort has translated into performance. And my wife and I were talking about this recently. From over the last 6 months, we've seen massive development for our oldest in the classroom and on the court or playing arena, the athletic arena, socially, following the rules, being kind, being empathetic, being a great big brother. Nice. He's hit this little 6-month spurt of significant development. And I don't think there's more proud of a feeling than seeing your kids enjoy the fruits of their labor. Mm-hmm. And I've seen from him, because he has seen the hard work pay off. He's 5 years old. Yeah. And he's seen, if I work hard, this is what could happen. And because of that, he's even more willing to work hard at other things now. Like, it's even at 5, if you give them a taste of like success through hard work, it fosters more success through hard work. Yeah. It dominoes. Right. And it's just been a blessing. I sincerely mean that, a blessing. This is one, first more positive news. Run for the Haven on Saturday. Saturday was rainy and windy and cold. Yeah. And hundreds of people came out.
Over 500.
Over 500 participants. If you get this lower third on screen. Over 500 participants for an 8K race on the downtown mall and around downtown Charlottesville in support of the Haven and to benefit support systems for houseless population. Yeah. Over 500 participants ran an 8K in downtown Charlottesville in rain and cold and wind. Yeah. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
And we want to positively highlight that for downtown Charlottesville and this community.
Yeah. It may not seem like this sometimes, but we love the Haven. It's just...
I got no beef with the Haven.
It's just in an awkward place.
Yeah. I got no beef for the Haven.
They do great stuff. They do great work.
Thank you for saying that.
We appreciate what they do, but it's just in an awkward place.
Thank you for saying that.
And contributes to some of the problems the downtown mall has, and keeping people coming to the downtown mall, which is a shame.
I think the Haven could be even better at a larger location with stronger infrastructure.
Imagine if it was on a place with even a little bit of land so that people could put up tents.
Green grass.
Yeah.
Shelter.
Right. Charlottesville's a strange place.
Charlottesville's strange.
It is. I've lived in. We're talking about.
I'm not disagreeing with
Santa Barbara and Los Angeles and Portland, Maine, and
you've lived in a lot of places.
Savannah, Georgia.
I did not know you followed. I didn't know the origin story of the. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's the manifest destiny of faith.
Yeah, I mean,
it's faith manifest destiny.
There are people in town here who have known me since I was born. It's pretty cool. Of course, some people get that by staying in the same place.
John, thank you for those kind words. He says, congratulations on our son's achievement. Thank you, John. I'm getting choked up thinking about it right now. There's nothing that makes me more proud. And I never speak for my wife, but on this particular circumstance, I know I can confidently because she feels the same. Seeing those two little boys, like, do positive and good things, especially positive and good things that come from hard work. Just, it's the best feeling. It just really is the best feeling. Kathy Carpenter, welcome to the program. Very much appreciate you. Albemarle County, Charlottesville City Schools banning phones. These bags you put them in. Parents are torn on this. If you want to get that lower third on screen. Parents are torn about this because they feel it's a safety concern.
That's nuts.
You're not buying that, I know. I'll give you an opportunity here to explain why you're not buying that banning cell phones at schools is a safety concern. I'm also not buying it. The theory is that if they don't have children, their phones in their possession, then parents will not be able to reach them during times of potential distress or duress or danger.
When did that become like a right that parents have to be able to call their kids on a cell phone anytime during school? That's nuts.
Call or text. FaceTime. Are more people
crazy.
FaceTiming than calling now? Would you prefer a FaceTime or a phone call or a text? For me, it's clear cut this order. Text, and it's not even close. Mm-hmm. The only person I really want to FaceTime or call, if it's not business related, is my wife.
Yeah.
I
Family.
desperately FaceTime her often while at the grocery store. I did yesterday at Costco when looking for something or trying to figure out what was the right item to find from the shelf. I FaceTime her and ask her for help. Drives her crazy. Mm-hmm. She's like, dude, you do this all the time. You should know where this stuff is. One of the most challenging endeavors for me is grocery shopping.
Really?
It's so challenging for me.
Oh, man.
It just does not fit my makeup. It's just, I find it overwhelming, especially if you go to a Costco or a Wegmans on a Saturday or Sunday. It's effing zoo. It's like ants marching. I'm serious.
I believe it.
I would go text, then a very drop off after that is phone call, and then FaceTime last. FaceTime last because it's this level of intrusion that where you're like, you have to look okay.
Yeah.
Can you do it from your car?
Do I look all right? Is there anything?
Is there anything in the background?
Yeah.
What if I'm driving? Are they okay with it? You know, students, schools, and I'm going to take it a step further. Should all screens be banned? We're in the iPad era of education.
Yeah. Is there really anything to be learned using an iPad?
Thank you. Or is what's learned doing an iPad just furthering screen addiction?
That's what I think. Even if it's not furthering screen addiction, I don't know what the benefit of having them is. At least with computers, like I've been hearing a lot about kids today. People thought that they were going to be the computer generation, and so if I'm not mistaken, a lot of schools have pretty much stopped teaching kids computers, thinking, oh, they're just going to naturally know how to use them. But then when kids get into a place where they need to use a computer, it turns out they have no clue what's going on. They're worse than our boomer parents who didn't grow up with computers.
Boomer parents getting some shade from Judah. Go ahead.
Seriously, they're like kids have no idea. You give them a computer and they don't know what to do if there's no app for what they want to do. I'm not joking. It sounds like a joke, but literally, if there's not an app to open up, they don't even know how to use browsers. Like, if you ask them to Google something, they're like, what's Google? Like, they're used to just having an app to get all their information, to do, whether it's, I don't know, it's insanity. And so I think, yeah, take away their phones, take away their tablets, their iPads, and start teaching them how to work a computer, and start teaching them to not be 100% reliant on these little screens. I mean, they're great tools.
Is a computer not a screen?
They're great. These are great tools, but they need to remain a tool.
You know, one of my favorite things about how our kindergartner is enjoying school time, if it's rainy or snowy or cold or muddy, still go outside. They're encouraged to play in the mud and get dirty.
Yeah.
There's rain boots and a raincoat that's stored on site to encourage outside activity during far from perfect conditions on the playground.
Nice.
And even though I'm a smidge OCD with cleanliness, seeing him come home with dirty pants and dirty shirts, and I am so OCD with cleanliness that I take his shoes and I wash them once or twice a week. Either scrubbing the rims of the shoes to make sure that they're clean and pearly white, or literally washing them, taking them out, and putting over the vents on the floor so they can dry overnight. Mm-hmm. But knowing that he enjoys playing outside and getting dirty and has outside and playground time is, especially for the Miller boys that are high energy, is crucial. We just do not have the DNA makeup to sit in one spot on a screen long term over the course of a day.
Yeah, I mean,
it turns us into terrible people.
I loved sitting at home and reading a book and listening to music, but at the same time, I would 100% get out there and go barreling through the woods just to go out and have fun.
There it is. Ban them, not just the cell phones, but screens across the board. The iPad era is not beneficial. We're going to look back on the iPad era of education, of teaching young Gen Zers and Gen Alpha, and we're going to be like, we made a mistake with the iPad era.
No doubt.
I want to see hallways and cafeterias where preteens and teens are not text neck, head down on a screen, but actually talking and interacting with their peers.
Yeah, where they're not holding up their phone to record
Fights.
Something like a fight, or and I think and that feeds into this problem with popularity. Everybody's looking at everybody else and
what is popular now? Is popular now having a boatload of friends in real life, or is popular now having a boatload of followers on TikTok or Instagram?
Right.
No, seriously. What is considered popular in 2024?
I think that's the scary part. Is a lot of kids believe it's having a high like or a high
follower account. That's terrifying.
And
popularity in 2024 is having followers on Instagram and TikTok, not having friends in real life. Think about that and unpack that, people.
And on top of that, kids are looking at other people's accounts and seeing, okay, well, I'm never going to be this good looking, this popular. I'm never going to have these, vacations as good as this. Everything is, you're basically comparison shopping your personality and look and life, which is sad.
Albert Graves has some strong comments on today's talk show. He says, why has the criteria for tax relief not changed as the median income has changed? What used to be middle class in Charlottesville is now considered at or below the poverty level. But the supposedly relief nonprofits say you make too much for help. That's a great comment.
Yeah.
I quote retweeted that one. And he also says, with his kids from kindergarten through 12th grade, kids are equipped with either tablets or computers, and he's starting to wonder if textbooks even exist anymore.
I mean, not that I'm certainly not gonna tout textbooks. In a lot of cases, I feel like they were overpriced and
A racket.
yeah. But
How about the fact that we used to, in our LL Bean backpacks, carry 50 pounds of textbooks when we were 11 years old?
I don't know that I ever had 50 actual pounds.
Dude, I
of
had
textbooks.
so many textbooks in my LL Bean backpack and carried them around from class to class as 11 and 12-year-olds. I'm shocked that I don't have scoliosis or spine issues associated with carrying textbooks as an adolescent.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
I guess so. Carly Wagner says, amen, Jerry. She agrees. I mentally cannot go grocery shopping with 3 children. Her husband does all the grocery shopping aside from pickup orders. And she goes text, phone, FaceTime. She hates seeing herself on FaceTime.
Yeah.
FaceTime is so intrusive. And Randy O'Neill, who's going to be in the viewer and listener power ranking, he's going to check in ilovecville.com/viewer rankings at 46 in the polls. He says, Jerry, tell your listeners who attended Stone Robinson Elementary from 2009 to 2014 or lived in the West Haven community from 2008 to 2015 that bike guy, him, sends love and peace. He's the guy with the big white bicycle trailer. Randy O'Neill, welcome to the family. All right, a couple of items here. I got a conference call I got to make in about 5 minutes. Tomorrow on the show at 10:15 a.m., Ralph Sampson. If you have some photos for steak frites that you can put on screen, do you have those that you can show, a couple of them?
Sure.
Ralph Sampson, 10:15 a.m. tomorrow, the Jerry and Jerry Show. He's going to be in studio. We're going to talk about his career at the University of Virginia, why he chose UVA, Ralph Mania. I mean, this guy was one of the biggest celebrities that's ever graced Charlottesville in its history. National media swarmed Charlottesville. There were times when Ralph Sampson could not even go to class as a student at UVA. He was that famous, and he was mobbed by people as if he was Taylor Swift. He was the Taylor Swift of Charlottesville, Ralph Sampson. Dave Matthews, you see him walking around town all the time in Charlottesville, and he's left alone. Ralph Sampson could not do that when he was a student at UVA. They went on the roof of U-Haul and painted the house that Ralph built. They literally snuck on students on the roof of University Hall and painted a homage to Ralph Sampson.
Homage.
He's in studio tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. We'll talk about Ralph as he's evolved into an entrepreneur and businessman on the talk show tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Ralph Sampson's Tap House, The White Spot, and a number of other amazing things that he has done. Steak frites. I love steak frites. Mm-hmm. My personal favorite steak frites are the ones that are at Petit Pois. And I notice on ilovecville.com/CVille steak frites. If you want to check out the story, ilovecville.com/CVille steak frites, that you have the Petit Pois steak frites at number 4, but you have some amazing ones on this list.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's these are 3-notched.
3 notches on screen. Okay.
Let's see.
The 3-notch ones look amazing. 3 notches food is very good.
No doubt.
A Minuteman and brunch at 3-notch, or a Minuteman and a steak sandwich at 3-notch.
These ones are Petit Pois.
These are the Petit Pois ones?
Yeah.
The Petit Pois ones are one of the best meals that I get in Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. What else you got? I have not had the Black House Steakhouse. I'll tell you the ones that I've had. I've had the steak frites at Oak Heart Social, which is number 2 on your list. I've had the steak frites at Petit Pois.
That's Oak Heart.
You got Oak Heart on screen? He's got Oak Heart on screen now. I've had the steak frites at Bizou. I've had the steak frites at Timberwood Tap House. I've had the steak frites at the Fitzroy and the steak frites at the Local. This is a fantastic list. ilovecville.com/CVille steak frites.
That's Fitzroy.
Fitzroy's on screen.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts for your fans, Judah Wickower? Carly and Philip, thank you for watching today's program. You made it fantastic. Vanessa Parkhill, you made it good. Bill McChesney, you made it good. Logan Wells, Claylo, hello. Randy O'Neill, welcome to the family. Derek Bond, you made the program great. Albert Graves, you made the program great, just to name a few. Any closing thoughts there, J-Dubs? Believe Mayor Lloyd Snook watching the program. Oh, excuse me. Counselor Lloyd Snook watching the program. Bellamy Brown, Olivia Branch, Rob Neal, hello. Travis Hackworth, Juan Sarmiento, Neil Williamson, Cully Baggett, one of the key members of the family, Woody Fincham, Sarah Hill Buchensky, hello. Show's yours, J-Dubs. Job well done today.
I'm just very excited that we are about to have a very warm week. Looking forward to the weather in the next few days.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
A short sleeve rowback. This is the Charlottesville edition of the rowback. Mm-hmm. I love the rowbacks. I think they're absolutely fantastic. This was a gift from my brother-in-law for Christmas. This is the first time I was able to wear it. I took the tags off this morning. Got it for Christmas.
Wow.
The rowbacks are comfortable.
Just took the tags off today?
It was a short sleeve shirt and I got it for Christmas. It was wintertime.
That's fair.
Thank you to my brother-in-law and future sister-in-law for this gift. All right, that's the talk show. We are back tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. with Ralph Sampson. For Judah Wickhauer, I'm Jerry Miller. And get ready, I think on Wednesday, the great Giardini with sidekick Bubini will be in studio, and their attire will level up. We will provide more fodder for the meme accounts. Meme accounts, get ready. Giardini and Bubini will be taking their attire to a completely different level. Word on the street is sidekick Bubini may be in the full Monty.
We'll see. I don't know about that.
I don't think either of us want to see that, nor do the view. Well, maybe some of your viewer and listener fans do.
What exactly do you mean by the full Monty?
What do you think I mean by the full Monty?
I don't know. You saying that I'm going to...
You could do whatever you want. Or Bubini can do whatever they want. Bubini can do whatever they want. You just got to level up your attire.
We'll see what I can find.
All right, for Judah, I'm Jerry. So long, everybody. You do whatever you want. Just level up your attire. I think I might come with a shawl and some earrings.
A what?
A shawl.
Shawl?
A shawl.
Shawl.
Isn't it a shawl?
With an L at the end.
Shawl. That's what I said. And some earrings. A shawl and some earrings. That would be leveling it up, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
You're gonna pierce your ears?
Well, they can be clip-ons. Some clip-on earrings. Bubini. What is Bubini going to wear? A lot of folks thought Bubini had a shirt that had foxes fornicating on it last week.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
What was on that shirt?
It was, I believe it was Fox Hunters.
So it was foxes?
I don't know that there were any actual foxes on the shirt.
It was Fox Hunters?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's people on horses.
All right, the content for the meme